Thanks for joining us at XM.com for this Forex Preview video. We'll be having a look at the Bank of Canada policy meeting coming up on Wednesday. I'm Cristina Marujos. Joining me today is Cristina Barcenido, investment analyst. So, Cristina, it will be an important week for Canada, I have to say. Prime Minister Trudeau is scheduled to announce his full fiscal plan for the first time since before the pandemic hit, but markets will likely be more interested about the Bank of Canada's policy meeting on Wednesday, which will also include new economic projections and a press conference. Particularly, there are growing expectations that the bank could make its first step towards a more tightening policy, cutting the pace of bond purchases. Do you think this is possible?
Hi, Christina. Well, I wouldn't be very surprised if the Bank of Canada announces its first tightening steps on Wednesday. Actually, the previous rate statement left a hawkish taste, although it was a bit dovish overall. Well, not the one that markets expected, saying that the economy is more resilient than initially thought, and if the recovery gains more steam, then the pace of government bonds could adjust accordingly. So that was a kind of a warning that the asset purchase program could narrow or at least may not increase further if the economy keeps improving. And looking at the data, the numbers have indeed become even better, especially for the month of March. We had a very strong employment data set. Business PMI indices also strengthened considerably, and the latest business outlook survey from the central bank showed that firms are less certain about the pandemic and more confident that demand will increase from weak levels, although some challenges remain. Moreover, inflation is expected to grow at a faster pace too, like it's happening in every country almost, especially in the key economies, and the booming housing market in Canada is of course something that no one can ignore. Definitely Canada is still behind the US, and currently the country is facing one of its worst times of the pandemic, and its vaccination program is not moving as fast as the one in the US. So it's not all bright in the economy, but the government could take some weight from the central bank's shoulders today. The Prime Minister is expected to unveil an ambitious fiscal plan of as much as 100 billion Canadian dollars for the next 3 years to spend on childcare, to green energy, and subsidize wages and new hiring. So the bank could take a breather and see how it could improve its balance sheet. We shouldn't forget that the bank has bought more than 35% of government debt so far, and that is the highest when compared to the Fed, the ECB, and the Bank of England. Actually, the bank's deputy governor has provided serious assurances last month about the easing process. He clearly stated that the bank will discontinue its repo purchases this spring and will not extend the programs for corporate papers, provisional, and commercial bonds. More importantly, he said that the government bond purchases will be scaled down, but he was more brief on that, admitting that the bank will act based on its macroeconomic outlook and the durability of the recovery. So that is a stronger signal that the pace of quantitative easing was slow, and I'm positive on that. But whether the bank will proceed this month or remain patient for the next few months, that depends on its economic projections and how optimistic it is about the economy.
And now turning to FX markets, how do you think the loonie could react on the policy announcement? The Canadian dollar has been quite resilient over the past few months. Could it gain extra steam?
Well, the scenario is largely priced in at the moment. So if the bank cuts the pace of bond purchases, traders could just sell the fact, pushing the loonie a bit lower. A stronger decline could emerge if the bank holds back and keeps its policy steady, instead saying that the future is still uncertain and policy should remain accommodative to avoid any economic accidents, likely providing a softer release of economic projections than analysts forecast. In the positive scenario now, if the bank appears more hawkish than analysts expect, cutting its bond purchases at a larger scale and providing encouraging economic projections, then the rally in the loonie could continue, especially against the Japanese yen. The situation in dollar loonie is also interesting. The pair has been trading below a resistance trend line for a year now, and its attempt to rise above it last week was a failure. So it will be interesting to see if the bank's beating could extend or pause the rally in the loonie this week.
Cristina, thank you for joining me today, and thank you for watching this Forex Preview here at XM.com.